Hi there, Natalie with you today with a new process video for Pinterest Studio. And today I'm actually going to create a new project using the Sunshine on My Mind collection. And I'm actually going to use the entire collection plus the stamp set, the stencil, and the die. So I pulled a few pictures. I wasn't too sure which picture I wanted to use, but I knew that I involved water. So I pulled a few from my, my little stash of pictures. So we're going to start by creating the embellishments. For this, I am using the Sunshine in My Mind stamp set. And I'm going to use the stamp set, the stencil, and the die. So I am actually going to I stamped like 6 of these images. I only ended up using like around 3 or 4. And I am using detail black ink. This is from Pinterest Studio to actually create my panels. So I've cut my cardstock to 4¼ by 5½. And I'm just stamping them away. Kind of creating, think of it as just like mass producing my embellishments. So once I have them already, it's all about using the stencil, and the coordinating stencil for the stamp set is actually super easy to work. So I'm going to show you how it works. I am going to stay within the tones of like coral and pink for my flowers. So I'm going to start with a little bit of coral reef, and you're going to see that I'm attaching my stencil, just putting it in place, and then I am using my ink blending brushes. These are the ones from Pinterest Studio. These are the 1/2" ink blending brushes to add the color. Simply, I'm just dabbing the brush on the ink pad, and then I'm going to go on a circular motion on the open space of the stencil to deposit the ink on my image. Super simple. And like I said, I'm staying in colors of coral and pink because everything else that I'm gonna use has a lot of cool tones. I was thinking about a lot about water, so I thought what's gonna contrast nicely with this the water tones that I'm using is gonna be pinks and corals. So you're gonna see that I'm just gonna take my time. Like I said, I stamped like 6 images. I only end up using around 3 or 4, no more than that, but it's always good to have extras. So this is stencil number 1, and what stencil number 1 does is just defines your flowers. Now I'm going to move to stencil number 2, and this is going to define your leaves. Now here I'm using 2 different colors of inks. I am using fresh pear, and I'm going to start by applying the ink from the tip of the leaf towards the edge of, or the center of the leaf, you want to call it. So I want it to be really light at the tips of the leaves and a little bit more saturated in color once it gets closer to the flower. So to do that, I am using a key lime to apply the color towards the bottom of the leaf. So it's kind of a two-tone situation going on. Once I have that, stencil number 3 is the one that's going to add a little bit of detail to your flowers. And for this, I am using passion fruit to just kind of add a little bit of color. And like I said, for the pinks, I use the sparkling rose and ballet slipper, same color combination. Now for the center, which is the next stencil number 4, I actually use peach fuzz for some of the flowers, and I also use marigold for some of the other ones, just to create the centers of the flowers. Now stencil number 4 also gives you the extra details of some of the leaves, and also like think of it as a second set of leaves. So I'm going with a darker color. I'm going to start with a little bit of key lime, same way as I did before, from the tips of the leaves towards the center of the leaf, and then I'm going to go from the bottom of the leaf up with olive. And then just to finish, I'm going to use olive and a stencil number 5. It just gives you extra details for your leaves. That's about it. Took my time, did all 6 of them, and then I'm gonna use the coordinating die. It's all in one, so all you have to do is just set it in place and put it through your die cutting machine, and it all comes together. So I have my little container with all my stamped and die cut images ready to go. So I'm just gonna set that aside, and we're gonna get started. Like I said, the idea for this layout is all about water. So once I defined all the pictures, I knew that I wanted to bring the idea of waves onto my page. So I'm going to start by creating the water look for my page. For that, again, I'm still not, at this point in my process, I was still not sure about which pictures I was going to use. So the best way is just to create kind of a frame for them. So I put my pictures on the largest ones that I have and just added 2 little dots at the corners of the pictures. Then I know where to add my mixed media. I don't want to fill the entire page. And I know that I want my water towards the right of the page. So by marking those two little dots, then I know exactly, how far, I can go with the water. So to create the water, I am actually going to use a little bit of aquamarine. And all I did is stamp the ink pad onto my, I have a piece of acetate, add some water to dilute the ink, and then I'm just going to kind of put it on top of my white cardstock. Now I am using heavy white cardstock as my base. I am actually using 140-pound foundation paper from Vicky Boutin. It has a coating, so you're gonna see that my water kind of stays on top of the paper and I'm able to move it. If you are using regular cardstock, then I'm gonna suggest you add some yeso to your page so that it doesn't buckle. You're gonna see that my page doesn't buckle because the paper has a coating on it. So, just keep that in mind. So I'm going to continue adding color. I'm going to use a little bit of Ocean Breeze too. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of blue. I'm going to use the sky blue just because I want to create different tones of the kind of teal and blue and a little bit of summer shower. Same thing, I just stamped on my acetate, added water to dilute it, and then just kind of like smear it or smoosh it on my page. And then to finish, I am actually going to use my brush just to add a few ink splatters. I'm going to let that dry for a tiny little bit. And then I want to get, this is acrylic glossy paint. It's white ink if you have it. Now I wanted to give the idea of foam on your page, like the sea foam that you get at the beach. So what I did to get that is I actually shook my bottle really, really hard. I used my brush because when you have this type of ink, the settlement, like the mica, sits at the bottom of the bottle. So by shaking it, I'm able to lift up that, and by shaking it really hard, I create bubbles, and I literally just grabbed the bubbles that were on top of the bottle and splattered them on my page, and that just creates a little texture on the page. So I set that aside to dry, and then until there I decided on what pictures I'm going to use. So the pictures that I'm going to use for my page are actually the ones of my daughter and her little cousin, my little cousin, at the beach. And I went into the 12 by 12 paper pads trying to find papers, like I said, that have a lot of the like teal and blue tones and green tones. So the first paper that I'm going to cut out, this paper is called Poolside, and I love all the little sentiments, all the little words. So I'm going to cut around a 3-inch off the paper. Then the second paper that I'm actually going to cut, this paper is called Love This Day, and I really love that teal with the little chevron in that side. And then for the last paper, I'm just going to set it aside. I wasn't too sure, but I'm going to work with these two papers first. So the idea for these papers, remember I'm talking about waves, is that I'm actually going to rip the right side of the paper to create kind of a distressed look on it. But when I started ripping my paper, I was careful to kind of peel it at the same time. So when I pull my paper, paper has a lot of fiber. I make sure that I had a lot of the white of the fiber left behind, so that it gives you that idea of the foam that the waves create when they crash at the shore. So I'm just playing with that. I mean, it was just an idea, and I was like, hopefully it works, and it actually worked. So I did that with my piece of the Poolside paper. I'm gonna do that again with the second paper. This is Love This Day, and again I'm just gonna pull the piece. I'm gonna actually save the piece that I actually ripped, because I'm gonna add it, because the B side has like green and teal leaves, so I thought it was a great combination for what I have on the background. So it's all about peeling, actually distressing paper right now and creating kind of that wave motion. Once I have it in place, I have the idea, I need a paper that is going to cover all those edges. So I went looking again onto my 12 by 12s, and then I actually ended up with this paper. It's called the Golden Hour. It's called Golden Hour, and it has like a lot of cut aparts on the A side. So I'm going to make sure that I cut like around 3.5 inches of it. I want to make sure that when I cut it, I only cut like a strip of the card. So I just played a little bit with the idea. And again, I'm going to rip out the right side of the page. The strips of paper are going to go on a vertical direction. So once I have all that, it's all about sticking them onto the page. So I'm going to say that I stuck my first layer, which is the pull side, at around 4 inches from the left, and then I'm just building my layout from there. I'm making sure that I'm using liquid glue because mixed media can be a little bit slippery, so you want to use like heavy duty glue when you're attaching your layers. So you're going to see that I'm just attaching my layers, making sure that there's a little bit of movement with the, the waves. I'm going to call them like that. And then once I have them already, then I was thinking, even I'm curling the edges, the ripped edges that I created. One of the things you got to keep in mind is when you do that, when you add your pictures, some of the pictures are going to be kind of lifted. So what I did is the part where the pictures are going to sit, I literally just folded that and I kind of burnished it with my nail. So I knew that those sides are going to be flat. Now, for adding my photos, I went looking for something that was gonna kind of create a little bit of separation from the page. So I'm using this large tag. This is from the journaling bits. I added a little bit of yellow twine, something that was gonna contrast all the green and blue on the background. I added a little piece of chipboard to the back of my pictures. It's a 3x4 size photos. So I'm just gonna attach them and a little bit of an offset on top of the tag. And again, you're going to see that once I attach my pictures onto my layout, I'm literally going to be careful, like lift up the edges of the distress paper around it. So now it's all about actually embellishing this. And here's where I just realized that my camera had died. The battery had died without me realizing it until I look up and the light was off. So all I'm going to create is think of it of a C formation of leaves. So some are going to be behind the top of the tag. Some are going to be on the left of the pictures, like in between the two pictures. And the other is going to be to the bottom right corner of my photos. All I did is just play with one coral flower, one pink flower, and then just added the leaves. So I created clusters. Now, because I'm using that yellow twine, I need to bring yellow onto this page. So remember, repetition is key. So I'm adding a little bit of yellow at the bottom. That's a cardstock sticker. I added a puffy sticker in those sunglasses. The little green ticket is from the 6x6. And then what I'm going to do to balance my page, because a lot of it is sitting on the left-hand side of my page, I'm actually going to create a little bit of distress on the right-hand side of my page. So at 6 inches from the top of the page, I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch slit going into my layout. And I'm going to fold those edges because I want to create, kind of think of it as the wave. I'm thinking about waves on this layout. And then to keep these edges secure, I'm actually going to stapled it onto the bottom. And here's where I was thinking, what am I going to back it with? So I went back to the same paper. The paper name is Golden Hour because I want to bring whatever top layer behind the pictures is. I'm going to use it as the bottom or the paper that backs this little distress corner. And I'm just going to back that area with it. You're going to see that I stapled the edges so they won't lift up. And then I'm going to add my title there. Now to hide the staples in this case, and also to bring the little pop of yellow, I'm adding one of the puffy stickers, and I found this yellow flower. I didn't want something that was pink or overly big. I wanted something really small, but that had a touch of yellow. And then for my title, I am using the words Sunshine Getaway. Sunshine comes from the ephemera pack, and the Getaway comes from the acetate ephemera pack. For the sunshine, I added a little bit of foam adhesive behind it just so it pops a little bit. And Getaway, I'm just adding a few dots of glue right behind the green part of my acetate. And it's in place. My lines of journal are actually going to sit underneath the title. You see that I added that puffy sun at the top of my layout. I need a pop of yellow there. And just to finish this layout, I went ahead and added some of the matte enamel dots just in each one of the clusters, just to bring it all together. And I love how this turned out. It was fun to put together. Like I said, the only thing that I messed up is that I didn't realize that my camera had turned off when I was setting up the flowers. But like I said, clusters, 3 separate clusters, and I just added pieces from the journaling and the cardstock stickers just to bring all of it together. love a distress, love the color combination, love the distress. Like I said, the idea of waves. So I'm using a little bit of mixed media and the acrylic ink with a little bit of the mica just to create that foam look on my page, and love a distress. I hope you try it. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Remember that you can always leave me a comment and I'll answer back. As always, thank you so much for joining me. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more beautiful content, and I hope to see you soon. I'll see you soon, guys. Take care.